Good morning, everyone. Very nice and bright morning for a lot of people. It's a festive day. So great to see all of you here bright and early. First of all, welcome to this very special online launch of Ihu or Internet Ke Danav. It's a very interesting topic, a very interesting film, and may I say, a very important topic that needs to be tackled. And happy Dussehra again, once again, to everyone joining in as you come into the to the call. First of all, I had a sneak preview of the film, and I think it's extremely important as a topic for today's times, with everything going online, with everything being so digital, even more than before. And I think with children being such a vulnerable group, I think it's important for us as adults, as parents, as educators, and as a community at large to address this topic and figure ways to keep our children safe. So before we start, and we will have the screening in a bit, I'd like to introduce all of you to our distinguished panel, who will be, engaging in a little discussion post the screening of the film. I could request them to keep their videos on for just a bit. First up, the creators of this film, that's Dipti Panesar and Dr. Shoreline Pimenta, who have scripted, directed, edited, and everything in the film from start to finish. And it's amazing the amount of work that's gone in. So I hope you, when you watch it, you'll learn to appreciate that every little detail that's there in the film. So welcome to Shoreline and Dipti. Glad to have you guys with us.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Jayashree.
There's also very privileged to have in our midst Dr. A.L. Sharada, Director of Population First. This distinguished lady is somebody who was, who drove this initiative and started the conversation about this film. And she's someone who's been at Population First for, I think, close to 2 decades now, and very active in the development sector, even longer as a researcher, trainer, program manager. I read a bio and I was like, okay, we need a separate session for just to talk about her achievements. And at Population First, she's responsible for key initiatives that sustain change, and one of those is Ladli, as you will know, which is for gender equality and some of those topics that are very important. So welcome, Dr. Sharada. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, we have Dr. Mohita Junarkar, Associate Professor at Jyoti Dalal School of Liberal Arts at NMIMS Mumbai. I'm told she's also holding a PhD in cognitive psychology and has worked with a lot of NGOs in the field of child adoption and foster care systems in India. And I think she's also authored many publications. So it's very good to have you as well, Mohita.
Thank you, Jay.
And finally, someone who works at the grassroots level. Somebody, we may talk about everything going on, but you need people on the ground, putting all these important initiatives into action, and also all these taking it to the kids and taking it to parents. At the grassroots, we have, Mugdha Chandorkar, who's a counselor at CM International School in Pune. I hear she's is a very exciting young talent to watch, and somebody who's done a lot of good work. I would love to know more about it myself. So welcome, Mugdha, and we'll hope to hear about your experiences as well in the discussion a little later. Right. Thank you everyone for making the time. Happy Dussehra again to some of you may join in a little later. We will start the screening of the film, Shoreline?
Yes. Yes.
And then we will go on to the discussion after that. So happy viewing, everyone. We'll be doing a quick discussion around this film and the theme as well, which is extremely important. We already had an introduction to the panel. So we'll have a few questions that we've got based on this film. I hope this really sparks some thoughts in everyone's heads, and I'm sure it does for me. So I think there's something that we can really talk about. First up, of course, Dr. Sharda, I would like to ask you, what prompted you to select this topic around online abuse? I mean, there's so many themes and topics around children, and why this topic?
Yeah, International Day of the Girl Child is celebrated on 11th of October every year. It was declared in 2011, and this is the 10th year. And more importantly, every year they choose a topic for the day. And this year's topic is Digital World, Our World is the topic, because of COVID. There has been so much dependence on internet and digital, appliances, and digital media so much. So the theme is digital media, digital world and our world. So when we were planning the event for our own event for the day, we decided that yes, this is a digital world. It also has its own, risks and pitfalls, and the most vulnerable are the children, because the content, sexually abusive child pornography content on internet has really grown tremendously. There is research to show that. And we have parents and adults, we are finding it more difficult to control and guide them properly with regard to the usage of the internet, what to see, what not to see, because remote is there, mobile is there, like they are open to doing the whole thing. So we have chosen the theme as digital world, how safe and this thing, and how vulnerable. So we wanted to touch on the vulnerability of this generation, because they're bombarded with too many messages and too much of influence from different quarters. So we wanted to speak about the vulnerability of the digital generation. And when we were talking about, so that is how we have narrowed on the topic on digital world, and then the pitfalls and the risks involved in digital. It's a great opportunity, right? But it also has a flip side. It can be the most dangerous place.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, as adults, we've already seen the shift to the digital side, and it's been a huge change for all of us, with whether it's work from home or just over dependence on the digital world. With children, of course, it's even more, because the shift from moving outside of this classroom and bringing that to home, but having easy access to devices and obviously the internet, it's a huge giant by itself. And how do you then make sure that you can control to some extent, but also you have the benefits of it, but also safeguard children against the evils of the internet. So interestingly, of course, something that struck me is, of course, with the creators making this with the use of puppets. So I wanted to understand from you, Dr. Sharda, why did we go with this form of communication of puppetry?
uh, uh, we were thinking of a performance for the event, some which is message-based performance, or something, to lighten the whole conversation that was happening at the event. And Ritu, my colleague, she suggested, she said that Khathanika does puppets. So are you interested? And then I jumped at the idea, because we've been working, we've been using puppets very, very extensively in our communication, not now, but when we started our college initiative 10 years back, we used to do puppet training, puppet making workshops. We used to do puppet script writing workshops, and then Nirmala Niketan, SNDT College, they all were part of our teams. And then they used to come up with scripts, they used to come up with puppets, and they used to perform puppet shows in Ganesh Pandas during Ganesh Chaturthi. And we realized that puppets, when we use animals, crow, monkey, something, and then you're talking of discrimination against the girl child, it really appeals to people. And it's not just about young people or children who are glued to a puppet show, but even adults come and watch it. And because it is told in such a innovative way, in such a creative way, using different characters, it makes the message goes to the people very effective. So whenever we have to talk of something very grave or difficult, I feel puppet show is one which reaches a message without making the audience feel burdened or bored, or sort of becoming defensive. So it's a very nice medium. And as I was telling, that it is really ironic that we are using the most oldest art form to talk about something which is so very new and latest, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's nice to also introduce that art form to people, and to throw that story across, and not just it's easy to talk about all these concepts, but to make it more accessible for kids to understand better, for adults to even have that conversation with their children. I think the form was very beautifully done, of course. And speaking of which, obviously the creators behind the puppets and the film itself, so Dipti and Shoreline, maybe we can throw this to you. Talk us through this process of creating this film, and what was that? Sorry, yes, Dr. Sharda.
I just want to say a big thank you to Deepti and Sharline, because they have actually visualized the whole thing so beautifully, and they have taken such a short time, less than a week, to put this all together. That is amazing. And I would also like to talk about the Nara at the end of it. Ritu told me, shall we have some slogans at the end of the puppet? End of the play. Then I suddenly remember Kamala Bhasin's Azadi song, like where it is Azadi.
Right.
Why not we do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And I thank Sharline and Deepti for actually doing such an amazing Narabazi at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was really something that it'll stick with you. Kabhi nahi. So that's a great one. So Shoreline and Dipti, if you want to just talk us through, how you all went about making this, and as Dr. Sharda said, in a very, very short time. So
Yes, the Narebazi and the scripting and everything, all credits to Deepti. She is the one who came up with the script, and of course we were discussing, but finally she did the voiceover with her cousin. And I think the Nara at the end, which was a brilliant idea, Dr. Sharda. So we experimented with a few things. Dipti, why don't you take over and tell us more? We can't hear you, Dipti. No, we can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this, I think a lot of credit goes to the team Population First, Ladli team, under the tutelage of Dr. Sharda. Because they were so clear about what they wanted. They were able to tell us that, and we didn't have to, we knew what they wanted in our first couple of meetings, and that's why we were able to put the whole entire thing together. Also, I think Sharda and Ritu, they both also suggested that they wanted, like this Nara, specifically Kabhi Nahi, because in such situations, it's very important for the child to have the power to say no. And if they're not used to vocalizing, like a stop sign, or like, no, I do not want this, if they're not very comfortable with that, so it'll be difficult to, the brain to switch in such dire situations where they are supposed to say no and stop. So I think the hidden purpose of doing that Kabhi Nahi, besides the catchiness, is like, that worm kind of goes inside your head, where you kind of will be able to say no when the time arrives. Hopefully that never arrives in your life, but I mean, they're able to then take that decision. And I think there has, in this traditional puppetry has gone also the modern way, because we have been actually shooting it pan-India. I think Shoreline has been like shooting it, the puppetry, I think half of the puppets were shot in Pune, while the villain was shot in Chennai. So, and then they were stitched together. So so it was a puppetry with quite a modern twist, as in for us, if you're asking us, like, how did we go about it? So it was quite fun and challenging, and it was really amazing that Population First team kind of let us do our thing. They trusted us, because that we'll be able to deliver it, in such short time. So it was quite a unique experience.
Yeah, I would like to put in here that actually this whole thing was possible because of technology.
Yeah.
So it's very strange, and it's something magical where we are talking about technology and we're talking about the bad side of technology, but we're using technology to put this message forward.
Yeah.
So, and yes, the population first, the team there, they trusted us. They did not ask us to see what the puppet looked like and everything. They were like, you do it. We know you'll do something. And I think having that kind of freedom made us good. All they wanted to see was the script. And we also wanted, because we are based in urban cities, and this film was targeted at rural, where people do not know what is technology. Even the parents are clueless, the teachers are clueless. So we had to talk to the team, and Ritu played a great part there with telling us what is happening at that level. So I think we were able to put the film together.
Yeah, Dipti and Shoreline said such good things about population first, giving them so much of creative space. I think everyone should have good clients like that. I work in the digital industry in a way, but so I know how it can be when you don't get too much of freedom. But great to know that they gave you all the independence to work the film from scratch, from a concept point of view to execution, and of course the team, and gave you all a free hand, as well as the brief was very clear from the start. So that obviously helps in the making. Coming to Dr. Mohita Junarkar, she's been standing by patiently. Want to understand, you worked with NGOs in the space of children's development, but why do you think we need films like Pihu or Internet Ke Dana? What are your thoughts about that?
To begin off, I would really want to congratulate Shoreline and Dipti for, bridging this and taking puppetry to a very different level. So like even Dr. Shada mentioned that how Nirmala Niketan students, so I'm an alumni of Nirmala Niketan and SNDT, been there, done this, but yes, it is the need today is that we have technology and these messages have been around for a very long time. Unfortunately, before the lockdown happened, there was a series of articles that we were writing in newspapers pan India, talking about the social media as a double-edged sword, and how it was actually the detrimental side of it, because we had back then Blue Whale and another 4 or 5 instances which were happening back to back with children, and children were the targets of social media also at that point of time. So child sexual abuse has been around the corner for decades now, and puppetry has its own strong connect with children. A very strong message in a very subtle manner can be communicated, specifically not just rural areas. It's also good with urban children. It has been seen that when you use puppets or you use stories which are there, it somewhere lowers down it's not the essence of the message is not lost, but the seriousness does come down a lower bit, and it goes to the children's level, rather than it staying at a level where only adults can understand. Moreover, this is a very good initiative of getting technology. Yes, we are talking of, like Shoreline said, we are talking that technology is giving it the flip side of it, but like we know that every coin has two sides of it. And somewhere I would say that as an academician, we were talking about the flip side of this internet, not just child sexual abuse. We were talking of even how it is actually hampering the brain development of the upcoming generations which are there. So we were looking at these dimensions, and all of a sudden, all of that research has taken a backstage today, because we really cannot move forward without the digital age, which was realized. But nevertheless, even today, these kind of videos are required. It's the need of the hour, I would say, because we need to penetrate into the rural section primarily. See, urban, the schools are very good, where the schools and the counselors do help children understand about good touch, bad touch. They have been taught since the kindergarten now. But when we look at a rural sector over there, these things are still a bit shunned in the very certain belts which are there. And these videos will help those children also to come out, from the shell and to realize what is good and what is bad. So if we want to communicate that, then definitely this is a great initiative and we need more videos. And there's only one suggestion: you could think of having it in different languages also. We need language adaptations, because in rural belts, they will connect it if it's in their own language more, rather than having one pan language. So of course, great start to do it, and I think Shoreline and Ripti can now think of having language variations with it as well.
That was in fact one of the questions I had, that, are they going to adapt it to other languages, especially in India? Dipti, you want to take that?
Yeah, no, I think we should. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
I think we should. It's that's what this process has been so organic that when we made it, I mean, I realized the suggestion came to us also that this is such a important theme, not just for children, even for parents. Sometimes the parents don't know how to handle children and what should they tell them. So also when it's in the regional language, it has much more easier access to the non English and Hindi belt. So yes, we would love to do these in more languages. I mean, it can be the same film, we can dub it in different languages. So I mean, that's the beauty of this video, like, with the puppets. So
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I showed the film to a couple of friends, and they were suggesting why only Indian languages. They should go out for world languages, because the problem is the same. You go to different parts of the world, it's the same issue. So we would love it if the film goes off in international languages as well.
Yeah, that would be something, definitely something to think of from next steps, at least from here. And Dr. Mohita, also in terms of, we talked about parents, in Dipti also mentioned this, and this film is not just for children, it's obviously for parents also who want to have a concept of, not having to understand how to talk about this topic to kids. And there are lots of this, we've always, and in India, I think traditionally, we shy away from topics like that, and it's all, we've grown up like that, at least I have. Nobody really tells you things in plain and simple language for you to understand, at least at the kids level. How can parents get involved, and how can they, say, monitor access to phone, social media, and the usage overall? How do you think that can be done?
The first thing that you always say is keep the lines of communication open with children. A lot of times, the child comes and he's wanting to tell something, but as parents, we tend to shun the children. We say कि नहीं, अभी मेरे पास time नहीं है, या मैं बाद में सुनती हूँ, या अभी थोड़ा काम है, रुक जाओ, अभी पहले रोटी बना लेती हूँ, फिर सुनती हूँ. So what happens in that process is the child starts feeling that, the parent is not being attentive to what I have to say, and what I want to say is not that important for my parent. In this process, slowly and steadily, the child starts, or they start learning to hide information from the parents. So as parents, it's very important that they should be very attentive, whatever be it. It could be very small thing. We need to get into a habit of leaving the work and at least giving them a listening ear when they want it. He comes and he pulls your dress twice or thrice. That's an indication that a child wants something very urgently, and there's an urge to talk to the parent. So you have to listen to that urge and feel that urge and address the issue at that time itself. Don't prepone or postpone those issues of addressing at a later point of time. That is the first thing. Second is always have all the gadgets have privacy settings which are there. So if you're giving a phone to the child for even classroom, the classroom best is, where you could give, if possible, a spare laptop at home to the child, so that you have all the privacy settings done and only access to the child is for the classroom. Yes, it is very annoying for the teachers, let me tell you, when a parent sits next to the child and the parent pokes for answers. When a teacher is asking a question, it is a parent who's going to be prompting, and at times, let me tell you, parents give incorrect answers also in the classroom. So don't do that, but at least be next to the child so that you know what a child is doing, especially till the age of 10 years to 12 years, they need to be monitored. After that, also monitoring is required, but adolescents, they become a bit rebellious at that time if you monitor them a lot. But still, after every 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you need to monitor and see what are they doing on the phone. Even after the phone has been kept, ensure that the communication with the child is so much that even if the children, adolescents will have a habit of putting a password, their own password, keep the lines of communication open so that as a parent, you know the password or you have access to that device, what they are using, so that you could check on the websites that they have used. Ensure that you check the browser history, which is always there, and see for if there is any kind of an activity that a child is doing. Now see, they do learn to clear the browser and all once they are in 8th, 9th, 10th standard. So it's also very essential that the immediately that you ask them to give the device, you check for the browser history, or you at least have a peep in. They might get a bit irritated, but that's perfectly fine for them too. It's essential that parents monitor the devices, the privacy settings, and the time limit for it. So, like, Sharda ma'am, just while we were having an informal discussion with her, she said a very lovely thing that she knows of some family, where they pick up all the devices, whether it's a mother, the father, or the kids, all the devices, and they're locked inside for 2 hours. And there is essentially a screen time that a family is going to be following. Now, this is very essential, that as a family, you need to be engaging in offline activities which are there. Once, the children are engaged in solving puzzles, they are going to be engaged in doing, helping the mother in cooking or helping the father to clean the house, then definitely that, urge to pick up a mobile and see and connect with the social media is going to be reducing. Again, the fourth point I want to make is, please do not only engage children to click in selfies and upload it immediately onto any social media or send it across to people. Tell them that photographs are also to have memories which you could cherish after a year or after 2 years also. It's not always about clicking a photograph and uploading it. Now, that's a very instantaneous habit we all have got, that if you're getting dressed up, you want to click a photograph and upload it, or at least have it as a display picture on your WhatsApp. So refrain as a parent from doing it at all points of time, and also be very cautious as a parent that you are not in a habit of putting up your entire life story on the social media platforms. A lot of us in this, during the lockdown, we got into that habit of doing it, and that's what the children are seeing, because at every step of our life, the child is going to be imitating the parent till the age of 10 to 12 years. So if you form these kind of rules and checks for yourself, then of course the child will also have the checks for them, and it will be done parallelly. So that's a major thing for how the parents could control the digital usage for themselves and their children.
Interesting. So, like, doctor, keeping the communication lines open, and obviously then even changing our digital habits so that children can learn from us rather than just expecting them to do the behaviors that we're expecting them to do. Obviously it's always best to teach by example, so that's always great. Thanks, Dr. Mohita. With I don't know if Dr. Sharda is still around. I will come to you in a bit, Dr. Mugdha, because Dr. Sharda had to leave. Dr. Sharda, do you have any final thoughts before you want to, like, we'll go to Mugdha after that if you had anything to add.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of something I have done. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant initiative, and then we should try to tie up with the Ministry of Child Development, and then 1098. Make this a part of the 1098 advocacy or communication, kit, and I think they'll be very happy to use it, and we should push it further and translate it into many other languages, and make the maximum use of this brilliant film.
Right. That's great. Are they going to be more?
We'll be very happy to help in that. Definitely we'll be happy to collaborate with Khathanika. Together we can make presentation to the ministry and see that it goes further, is accepted, and then it gets bigger, much better traction.
Are
And
they,
also more children are able to watch it. That is the I think that is what we need to ensure.
right. Are there going to be more films like this on some other
It
topics?
all depends, depends on the funding, because we are not very heavily funded. But I think we can always think of some new ideas and some to do something different, and always. And yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. We'll have more opportunities to do something like this on different topics relating to children. If we
Yeah.
have some good
That'll be
funding, I
that
think it would be the best.
that'll be great. Yes. Thanks, Dr. Shada. I know it's a
So
busy
much.
day for you.
Thanks. You did a great job.
Thanks. Right, Mugdha, waiting patiently. You're a counselor at the grassroots level. You will have your ear to the ground. You know what's going on with kids, and you're working very closely at that level. How can and Dr. Mohit already mentioned about communication being such a key thing. How do you think we can improve communication with children, especially coming from your side of the story, with the school angle, and as a counselor, how do you think we can do that?
Yeah, so primarily this film focuses on just the rural area and rural kids. But let me tell you, even in cities, even in my school, I have handled 2 to 3 cases where the child, this girl was in grade 10, and she was not aware of what she was doing. She sent the pictures, and her mom was unaware. She was scared, but she sent the pictures, right? So then the blackmailing started, and then after all of this happened, even I had conducted a few introductory sessions of do's and don'ts. Still kids were unaware, and even though they have all the facilities and all the I would say educated background and parents, still this child sent the pictures and still the blackmailing happened. We helped the child later, but I feel that mm, we need these kind of movies, we need these kind of conversations. Later on, when her mother came to me, I could sense that there was no communication between two of them. uh, the child doesn't know how to set healthy boundaries, how to say no. So I think it is very, very, very important to talk about such things openly. Parents and movies like this would open a forum for um, for parents to talk about this to their kids without hesitation. Because see, the puppet was doing all this all the job, and then there was the rap song by the end ki ye nahi hona chahiye, wo nahi hona chahiye. So not just primary kids, but I feel even secondary, higher secondary kids also needs to see this film. And with movies, they can form their own conclusion in their head. If we give such endings like the rap song, they could understand on their own.
Absolutely.
Is what I think. Yeah.
And it's important. I mean, from a communication, even parents, educators understand.
Yeah, and
what's the topic.
yeah, and even if I try, or even if parents try, it is difficult to initiate these topics. It is difficult to we have school policies, we have other restrictions, so it is very difficult to just wind up this topic in the given time, using given words, avoiding important factors, and make it even make it simpler. Or there are restrictions to school counselors. We can't just use specific words, or
Right.
we can't just say things directly. Yeah. So that is why actually I have healing stories in my therapy sessions, where I try to, involve different characters, different situations, different psychological resources. So by the end, they get to know what they should be doing in such situations. So for example, cases of anxiety, cases of fear, or stuff like that. But then if I get to show them movies, if they get to see puppets, if we make things, little interesting for them, I think it would just work wonders. It would just help them.
Yeah, I think Shoreline, because then I know her personally, of course, and the storytelling art form itself, right? You can
Yeah.
put a more serious of topics and show it in a
Yeah.
way which is easier to consume. For anybody at different ages, you can tailor it in such a way. And of course,
Absolutely.
puppetry being it's got its own quirks and it's got a little lighter side of things, but it's also telling you a story and
Yeah.
it keeps you engaged. The film, like I watched it and I'm like, I'm engaged
Yeah.
even if I'm not the primary audience, for example, right? So, but I'm like, I'm engaged because I'm listening to the dialogue, and there's a little song at the end which is stuck in my head even now, and I'm like thinking of that, I'm thinking of that, like, what,
Yeah.
and it's important to use these little, little techniques and little the art form itself, and adding all of that, I think it gives great value to the story itself and the message out of that story, not just the story itself. Right? It's very insightful. Have you, in your experience, Mugdha, had to teach, say, how do you teach children to set healthy boundaries? I mean, I know parents are, doing it. It's not easy with everything going on right
Yeah.
in the world. But at your level, is there any way that you've had to, say, you've got good examples to how do you teach children to set boundaries?
Boundaries is a very vast topic. So eh, it is difficult to teach kids, especially primary kids, especially grade 1 and grade 2. They are their attention span is too less, so they are always doing many things. And now I'm conducting therapies online. It's been 2 years, so it is even more challenging to gather their attention. So I try and use different methods. For example, like I used animated films and I took the chunks. For example, there is this movie Inside Out.
Yeah.
So it has a great meaning, and it has a lot of emotional it has too many emotions, too many moods they have covered. So I try to take examples from different animated films. I cut the chunks and I show them the videos, and I try to ask them later, so what would you do differently in this situation, or what can we do, or so suppose Finding Nemo or films like that, or so I try to like ask them what we can do here. I just pause films in the middle, and then they answer. So that is sort of working, and then I give them some interesting homework, and then they also get some reward if they complete the homework. So this is all, it works.
Yeah, you have to incentivize it to some extent.
Yeah.
It's also
Now
good.
they're excited. Yeah, now they get excited to get the rewards. So the rewards are also therapeutic. They get mandala art, just the drawing. So they get to
Yeah.
paint at home, and then they send it to me on emails. So yeah, that works.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay, awesome. I think I just want to before we wrap this up, of course, just a little again reminder about this film Pihu and Internet Ke Danav. It was commissioned by Population First under their Girl Child campaign called Ladli. This film was created, of course, to mark the International Day of the Girl Child, which was recently, the date just happened. And it was with the support of the Norwegian Embassy as well as United Nations Population Fund. So thank you to all of these entities involved for making this film possible. Also, this film, as I'm told, will be up on Population First and Kathanika's YouTube channels. So watch out for it and spread the word about it. I don't know if there are any final thoughts from Shoreline or Dipti.
Yes. So our motive, Dipti and me, are very passionate about the theme, the concept. It is a much needed topic, and we ourselves struggle at how to explain things to kids. We want this film to be as a starting point, to be used by teachers, to be used by parents, to be used as so how do you begin a conversation like this with a small child? It's very difficult. So we would like it to be used like you show the film and then you have a conversation at home. Parents, sit down with your children and have a discussion. And definitely do spread the word, share the film with your friends, with other parents, because we would want it to reach you. You never know where a child is at this moment, suffering from being blackmailed by somebody somewhere. And just that listening to that Nara or listening to something or looking at what Pihu did would give that child the sometimes you just need that push that you know what, this is wrong and you should do something about it. Go get help, seek help. So we would want it to reach far and wide.
Also, as in adding on to what Sherline was saying, the technology today is evolving so fast, and also the children are much more tech savvy than the parents. The parents do not have the time to educate themselves. Also, a lot of times they are asking children, how to, probably use a mobile phone and things like that. I mean, on a lighter note, I've heard about children putting child lock, on certain sites so that the parents are not getting access to it. Okay, the parents don't know how to remove the lock. So I mean, coming back to it, so the mutual trust and the confidence that they can speak to each other, confide in each other without any judgment, that is also, I feel, very important. That care the parents should also take. They should not be reprimanded for saying ugly things. Also, the child should be encouraged to voice his opinion, his or her opinion. And once the mutual trust is there, then even if the technology is not, I personally feel that it's not completely monitored, at least you will have the confidence that child will come to you and tell you what is happening. So that communication, has Mugdha had pointed out, it's very important for the parents also to maintain that communication and not patronize children that much. I feel that is also one problem which breaks down communication.
Right.
And adding to the credit, I forgot. I mean, I want to say a special thank you to Malti. Malti was actually the one who brought us together to Population First and introduced us to them, and she had the confidence that we will be able to pull it off in such short time. Even we didn't have it. Malti was really making us.
Yes, because I've seen you on Ajivika. I know your work, and I knew that you guys would do it for us. And I think this was one of the best movies that has come out. It has been playing on my mind ever since I've seen it. You got it? It's playing.
Yeah.
You see a movie, it keeps, so constantly. I have my niece today, she has watched it and she knows what are the glitches that has happened in the past, and from now on what she has to get better. So I think Dr. Shada will definitely agree. I think mothers need to watch this maybe every day. Am I right, Dr. Shada? Mothers have to watch this.
I just want to say, I think I'm becoming old now. Actually, it was Malti who introduced Khatanika, not Ritu.
No,
very
I mean, all of us together. All of us together.
Yeah. So it's real. Thank you, Malti, for that. And
but Dr. Shada, I really feel this movie has been playing on me ever since I watched it. It's been 2 days.
Sure.
Yeah, it's very good. And I think Population First, we are very happy that we managed this across. Thank you so much.
Yes. And as I said, we'll take it forward, make it into, we'll speak to the ministry, see how they can, promote it. Maybe we can do a shorter version or something.
Yes,
just the Nare can be the advertisement.
Yes.
So if 30-second or Nare ka Gana we can put on TV, radio, etc.
Yeah.
So we can think of many other things. Thanks so much.
Awesome. That was great, Malti. Thank you for joining us as well. Like I said, this film will be out there on YouTube soon. So do watch out for the link. I want to thank everyone, especially on the panel today, for joining us. I know Dussehra is a festive day for everyone, so everyone's busy, and I'm sure a delicious lunch is waiting for a lot of people. It's a very apt day. Victory of good over evil is a theme that runs across the day to day. So I'm hoping that theme carries across to our, to strengthen our resolve in keeping kids safe from the internet ke danav, and hopefully we can carry this message forward in all our ways.